If you compare beer with bratwurst,
and cheese with wine,
or even whiskey
with donuts,
then we think you can pair all of these delicious drinks with
murder,
conspiracies,
missing persons,
and more.
Drink with us as you feed your craving for true crime and creepy stories.
Hello, my name's Jason, and this is my wife, Katie, and you are listening to the Perfectly Paired With podcast. Catherine, my love, why don't you give us a little snippet of what we're going to be talking about today?
On May 24th, 2008, a 999 call was made.
Britain.
Yes. 20-year-old Nikki Lee James could be heard warning, quote, "You need to get a police car down here now because otherwise he's had it," end quote. Outside the Metro Bar in Sidcup, which is a borough of London, an 18-year-old actor lay bleeding to death on the sidewalk, having sustained 5 stab wounds made by everyday kitchen knives. 4 days earlier, Robert Knox wrapped filming on the 6th installment of the Harry Potter movie franchise, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Knox's character, Marcus Belby, a would-be Slug Club member, brought levity to one of the darkest Harry Potter books and movies. In his most prominent scene, Knox shovels ice cream into his mouth while verbally talking his way out of Professor Slughorn's good graces and Hogwarts' foremost club for the talented, powerful, and famous. On the night of the 23rd, Robert Knox was simply out with his younger brother Jamie and a few other mates, celebrating his success as an actor in a Harry Potter film. Despite being rushed to a local hospital, albeit one without a Madame Pomfrey to tend to his wounds magically, Knox would succumb to his injuries. Maybe we could tell his story as just one of the more famous victims attributed to the alarming knife crime taking place in the UK. But that night at the Metro Bar, there was another muggle, perhaps one just enjoying a pint of London's Pride, or Dune Bar, or maybe even some of Madame Rosemerta's oak-matured mead, who, unbeknownst to him at the time, would find himself roughly 4.5 years later wielding his own knife, taking the life of a young woman, begging the question, what is up with these Brits and their seeming proclivity for knife violence?
Knife party. Wow. When you told me this was going to be a Harry Potter podcast, I wasn't quite sure exactly how everything was going to tie in. Now it's very obvious. So, obviously, someone who's actually acting on a Harry Potter film is the murdered. Mm-hmm. You know, the knife thing. I mean, I don't know why you'd need even ask, why do they have so many knifings there? Well, it's because they don't have guns.
You really are getting way too ahead.
No. But
because we're going to talk about that.
I know. I just wanted to say that, like, because there was a few things you had said that I was just like, oh, interesting. Another one was you said everyday kitchen knives, like sharp knives, right? No.
Well, I don't know, but they were described as kitchen knives. I'm assuming it's not a butter knife.
Yeah, I don't know if you could stab somebody with a butter knife, but I guess with.
But we have a knife block upstairs full of knives that I think would do the job.
Yeah, definitely. Everyday kitchen. Oh, it would just regular knives.
Found him in his house.
Didn't go and buy a.
Yeah, it's not a hunting knife.
Yeah. And then I had a question. You said there was, his character was part of some party.
Yep. So here's the deal. I love Harry Potter just as much, if not more, than I love true crime. So my knowledge is vast. And so even in not just giving you information about his role in Professor Slughorn's club, where he finds students and he basically like mentors them so that when they become powerful in the wizarding world, they like give him kickbacks. But I also intend on putting little Easter eggs throughout the entire thing. So if you don't know Harry Potter there are going to be things I say that you're just like,
huh?
What the heck? Like my husband. And if you do know Harry Potter, you're welcome.
Yeah. If I weren't married to you, I would know so little about Harry Potter. It would be ridiculous. I would know their books basically, and then turn into movies. But I have seen all the movies. We've seen a number of them in theaters. I actually do like the story. I think it's really cool. I've tried to read the first book like multiple times, maybe 2 or 3 times, and I always get about halfway through, maybe a quarter through. But
here's the problem:
I'm not great with reading nonfiction. So
unless you're a middle school kid, the first 3 books are very, very juvenile.
Yeah,
but J.K. Rowling matured them to almost match her like target audience who started reading the series.
Well, I think that's what's fun about the movies too, is the movies progress in the same way. Like the first one, first, second one, so kind of kiddish.
Yeah.
But they're still great movies. But oh man, when you get to the later ones, those are good, just adult fantasy. Like like getting into the level. I grew up a Lord of the Rings fan. That's why I never got into the Harry Potters. I was like, someone's already done this.
I only want one wizard in my life, and his name is Gandalf.
Yes, exactly. Gandalf the Gray and then Gandalf the White. That's all I needed. And
you can love more than one wizard, Jace.
Well, Saruman was in there, so I had my second wizard. So yeah, that's what I really enjoyed about those later movies, is that they reminded me so much of like that more mature theme that came with the Lord of the Rings. But when you told me you're hiding Easter eggs,
I'm so excited.
I'm so curious how many of them I'm going to be able to pick out. But my knowledge is pretty dang good because of you and your family. You're a bunch of nerds. You guys nerd out on this more than I've ever seen anybody or a collection of people nerd out on something. It's both impressive and ridiculous. But with that said, we've made a drink for this theme. And we made it again. Definitely not the recipe we made before, because this so far is a failed experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure it tastes amazing. Probably tastes just like the Butterbeer. But we are having Butterbeer. So the recipe we looked up called for marshmallow fluff. And we ended up with marshmallow.
Like ice cream topping.
Yeah. Marshmallow topping. And it didn't work the same, so now we got these cloudy drinks, which is fine.
They're full of vanilla vodka, butterscotch.
No, it's
schnapps.
But the vodka's not vanilla.
It is.
No, it's not vanilla.
Yes, it is. That's the flavor.
I swear
it is vanilla vodka. I purchased it.
We're gonna have to go.
Do you want to bet?
Anyway, buttercot schnapps.
Squatter nut butter scotch
schnapps and cream soda.
Yes.
And we're gonna try it now.
Cheers.
You'll see it in the camera if you watch the video part of this on Spotify.
It's really good though.
Interesting. I don't know. I almost feel like we shouldn't have even done like it's the marshmallow on top. It's just more for that like froth that's on the top.
We're probably gonna have to make a second one. Let's do it without, and just maybe like drizzle the vanilla, like a fancy martini would look.
Yeah.
Like inside the glass first.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll also check what vodka you used. I don't think
it's vanilla. He's going to look like such a muggle.
Anyway, why don't we get back to this interesting story? I had no idea an actor from Harry Potter was stabbed to death in
Butterbeer, a staple in the magical world of Harry Potter, is perfectly paired with a story about an actor from Harry Potter movie who died far too young. Robert Knox was born on August 21st, 1989. That would be 3,308 days after the birth of the boy who lived. Knox began acting at age 11 while attending Beth Grammar School in Bexley. In 2004, Knox made his movie debut as an extra alongside Keira Knightley in King Arthur. Knox previously landed roles in After You've Gone and The Bill, which were both television series in the UK. When not acting, Knox played rugby for Side Cup. Interestingly, one of his teammates, a 16-year-old, clearly not even of age yet, boy named Jimmy Mized, described by his friends as a gentle giant, would be killed 14 days before Knox's death, the victim of a knife point robbery.
What? His friend died?
His rugby teammate.
By knife?
Yes. But nothing Knox had done athletically or professionally up until that point compared to his more minor role in Harry Potter. So on the 23rd of May, 18-year-old Robert Knox and his 16-year-old little brother Jamie went out to celebrate with friends. Now, I don't know if Jamie was worried that night when he, his brother, and his friends stepped out into the night to pursue that flighty temptress adventure. Just a week earlier, on the 17th of May, Jamie had a run-in with a 21-year-old man named Carl Bishop. The two had argued at the Metro bar, something about Bishop's mobile phone. This argument evolved into a physical altercation, and after coming off the worst, Bishop proclaimed, quote, "I'm going to come back next week, and someone is going to die," end quote. Now, had Jamie known about Bishop's past, he might have been more cautious to avoid seeing Bishop again. Bishop was described as having been a very angry child, even being required to take anger management classes at some point. By the age of 14, he had already been arrested, and in court, he was described as the kind of person who carries knives like other people carry pens in their pockets. But it's not like we have a...
Who carries a pen in their pocket?
Business people? People who work at the Ministry of Magic?
Okay.
But it's not like we have a time turner or anything to use to go back and warn him. So earlier in the evening, on the 23rd, the Knox brothers and their friends ran into Carl Bishop at a different bar. An argument between Bishop and one of Knox's friends, a bloke named Sammy Mormet, spilled outside the bar, turning into another physical altercation. This prompted Bishop to go home and arm himself with 2 kitchen knives. At that point, Knox's group decided to change locations, and they all headed to the Metro bar. Now, after midnight, making it May 24th, Bishop, embracing his inner Death Eater, returned and tried to enter the Metro bar. But he actually was denied entry due to the altercation he had with Jamie a week prior. In response to his denied entry, Bishop actually punched the man outside. I am not sure of the exact sequence of events from here, but Jamie, Robert Knox's little brother, did leave the bar at some point. Then, in front of a Tesco Express, which is kind of like a convenience store here in the United States, Bishop and Jamie met again. Inside the Metro bar, Knox became alerted to the commotion taking place outside. Showing the kind of bravery that would make Godric Gryffindor proud, Knox exited the bar in order to defend his brother. While Knox tried to subdue Bishop, Knox's friend, Tom Hopkins, would later recall, quote, "Knox was stabbed in the head, struggled to hold the attacker down, carrying 2 knives until police arrived. He had grabbed 1 knife, but didn't know Bishop had another," end quote. In addition to Knox being stabbed, 4 of his friends also sustained injuries. One of them even suffered spinal cord damage from one of Bishop's blades. Knox was rushed to Queen Elizabeth Hospital, where he would be pronounced dead at 1 a.m. One of Knox's stab wounds had hit a major artery. When police officer Craig Reed informed Bishop that he was being arrested and charged with murder, Bishop's response was, quote, "Yeah, sweet," end quote. And as Officer Reed would recall, Bishop showed absolutely no remorse for his actions.
Jeez.
In July, Robert Knox was given a posthumous.
I think that's right.
I have not been able to say this word at all.
I think it's posthumous.
Award for bravery, as his actions were motivated by protecting his younger brother. That award would provide some comfort to the Knox family until Bishop's trial began on February 9th of the next year. At his trial, Bishop would try and claim that he was acting in self-defense. According to him, he simply found himself outside the Tesco Express in the early hours of May 24th, surrounded by Knox and his friends. His description somewhat akin to being attacked by a herd of dementors or something. And he claimed he had no choice but to indiscriminately swing the knives about to deter the mob of attackers.
As one does.
Now, the jury did not even need legilimens to know that Bishop was lying, and on March 4th, the jury found Bishop guilty of Knox's murder. The judge would tell Bishop that the Crown Prosecution Service, quote, did not prove that you intended to kill Knox, but the truth is that you simply could care less whether you killed him or not, end quote.
You're bringing me right there. I'm telling you, your accent is spot on.
It really is.
I'm not even lying about that, too. I didn't know you did such a good accent.
Bishop.
I thought I was the only one in the family that did that.
No. Bishop was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 20 years. But his public conviction and sentence did nothing to curb the epidemic of knife crime the UK experienced through the 2010s. And that brings us to our second murder of this episode.
Oh, wow.
Adam Wellahan.
Technically, it's the third.
I know, because shout out the Gentle Giant.
Yeah, the Gentle Giant went down.
Like Hagrid.
Was he big?
I'm assuming he was.
See, when I think Gentle Giant, Hagrid for sure.
Grop?
I also think Hodor.
His brother Grop?
Hodor from
yes.
Game of Thrones.
Yes. Adam Wellahan was at the Metro bar on the night Robert Knox was stabbed to death outside. A week or so after Knox's murder, Adam met a young woman named Natalie Jarvis, and the two even briefly talked about attending Knox's funeral. Although neither attended his funeral, the two did exchange numbers and stayed in touch. In 2012, Natalie Jarvis...
So this is another guy that knows Knox?
I don't think he knows.
But they were going to go to Knox's funeral.
So this Adam lives in Sidecup, and he was at the Metro bar, probably inside, unaffiliated with the situation, but he was there. Mm-hmm. And when he met Natalie, they we should go. You know?
Yeah. Just bring me there again. Like, I totally saw her saying that to him.
Yeah, we should go.
I
don't know why she became... from the valley. Natalie from the valley.
Date over this tragedy.
Nothing brings two people together like the death of a
knife
small-time actor.
Nothing brings two people together more than a knife party.
In 2012, Natalie Jarvis was a 24-year-old woman who loved her job working at McDonald's. She particularly enjoyed the social interaction she had there. Sometime in 2012, her friend Adam had broken up with his then-girlfriend, and that choice ushered in a change to her and Adam's friendship. What their friendship morphed into is a little foggy, but would best be described as dating. During the course of their relationship, the two exchanged 1,200 texts and numerous phone calls, and they definitely were intimate on at least one occasion.
So he's basically in the friend zone outside of that one or two times she let him pass the zone.
You're going to see that this relationship was probably the other side. To where he had a girlfriend, only wanted her as a friend. Ended it with his girlfriend, was like, I kind of like you, Natalie. But he was a tool. So...
Yeah, okay.
So they definitely were intimate on at least one occasion. On July 9th, the two had unprotected sex in a car. Well, and that's how babies are made.
Ruh-roh. No, you take a drink. I'll fill the air. We both went to take a drink at the same time, And that means it's going to be silent. So I filled it with that, telling you that.
Yes. But outside of Natalie's presence, Adam was critical of her weight and harsh when talking about her with his friends. With his mates, Adam would refer to Natalie as JC, referencing comedian James Corden. And the level of his cruelty about her appearance might have suggested that she looked like she had an awful case of spattergroit or something.
Huh?
But it was totally unwarranted.
What's spattergroit?
If you know, you know.
Oh, okay. What would one look like with spattergroit?
It's like chicken pox that a troll would have.
Ooh, like super bad acne?
But it's an infectious disease that they give to the Weasley's troll in the last book to make it seem like Ron was.
But as far as the appearance, like really bad acne?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And despite communicating such awful opinions with his friends, Adam continued to date Natalie. On July 23rd, Adam made a Twitter post that read, quote, "It's all right to kill someone these days, isn't it? I think I might do it."
Natalie said that?
No, this is our friend Adam. Hashtag murderous mind.
Whoa.
With one of his friends, clearly a squib, named Thomas Fuller, Adam exchanged the following messages. Thomas, quote, "Killed anyone tonight?" End quote. Adam, quote, "Only in my mind." End quote. And then 3 weeks before the murder of Natalie, Adam texted, quote, "I'm going to do JC tomorrow." End quote.
Wait, he texted that to someone?
I'm assuming it's his stupid squib friend, Thomas.
Also, you never answered my question on, did you? On what did you mean, the first guy? I might as well ask this now before we get too far away. The first
Carl
guy,
Bishop?
Knox.
The victim, Knox?
Yeah, his character, you said he was part of this club.
Yes. Professor Slughorn, I explained it. He likes to collect students that he sees as having potential for being powerful and rich, and he makes them members of his club.
What was the club called?
It's called the Slug Club.
Oh, the Slug Club. I don't think you...
I think I did.
But maybe you didn't.
Lord
Sorry
Voldemort, as
twice,
Tom Riddle
people.
was a member. It was actually Slughorn who told Tom that he could create 7 Horcruxes. And then Harry became a member in book 7, which is the one Robert Knox was in.
Slughorn is the one, it's one of the later movies where they go into this house that
and he's
is
a chair.
Vacant, and he's a chair. Okay.
Yes. And even with Natalie, I think things were a little bit weird. There was one time on October 1st, 2012, Natalie had received a call from Adam, and he told her that he was going to pick her up and take her to Burger King.
Ooh. Oh, but that could be a dig right there. She loves her McDonald's.
I just think there's like so a few less romantic things. Like maybe he could call and be like, "Grab yourself some flu powder. We're headed to Nocturne Alley." And that would be less romantic. But Burger King.
But they don't live in a Harry Potter world.
For this episode, everybody lives in a Harry Potter world.
And we don't know. Like, Burger King's been here for us forever. Maybe Burger King is something special and magical over there.
You know what?
Across the pond.
She's 24. I think he's 23 at the time.
She works at McDonald's.
She lives at home. She works at McDonald's.
It's got to be a slight against her.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm taking you to Burger King.
They don't get there.
It's better.
Because after picking up Natalie, Adam just drove around with her for hours in his car. On her Facebook, Natalie posted, quote, "I've been kidnapped. Can someone come and rescue me? Question mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark," end quote.
Oh, you could just imagine what the conversation is probably going on in that car, because
she's posting on her phone.
She's just acting like she's looking something up. Clearly, there's probably been some like, so hey, where's the Burger King? And he makes up some stupid excuse, and then she starts like pressing in a little bit more, like, hey, I'm getting really hungry. Can we? I don't even care.
Go for a Whopper.
We don't need to do Burger King. I'll do I don't know what's a lower form. Here, Burger King's
lower.
The worst. I don't know. I think yes. I don't
she
think
needed
you get
to cast
Whataburger. No, Whataburger is supposed to be like the rival to In-N-Out, isn't it? I don't know what's lower than Burger King.
He's trying to avoid saying Taco Bell because that's my third love. Murder, Harry Potter, and Taco Bell. And he's like, I can't say that.
I can't say it. I can't say it.
Don't.
Yeah. But though, all right, Burger King is the worst of the burgers.
I really like a Whopper. I do like the Wops.
It's too dry. But they do have the best commercials of the fast foods, and they have the best tweets. Have you ever seen like a series of their tweets? No, but I do
enjoy seeing fast food restaurants tweet each other like they're people.
Oh no, but Burger King will just like tweet in random, like, I don't know, celebrity, different things, and they're monsters. They're amazing at it. They have a great department when it comes to that. Not so much their burgers.
I like a Whopper. Now, Natalie's sister Gemma was so alarmed by the post that she immediately called her sister. But when Natalie answered, it was as though a rack spurt had just flown into her ears. She simply laughed and acted like the post had just been a joke.
For you listeners, I would get it.
This makes me laugh so hard. It's because for the past few Harry Potter references, he's responded, but like the first 5, he didn't even bat an eye.
No, well, you're throwing them pretty good. Now there's been a couple like weird names in there where I'm just like, how do I ignore Raxper or whatever?
Listen,
I'm going to let him go, though. I'm going to let all of you people just have your fun with this. But so her friend calls her, right?
Her sister. And is like, hey, Natalie, are you okay? And she basically is just like, oh,
she does pick up.
I'm just joking. I'm just out here with my love, Adam, driving around for hours and hours. But it's fine. Everything's okay.
Like trying to subliminally say, hey, no, I'm in fucking trouble.
Well, when Adam was asked about that post later, he would state that Natalie's Facebook post had actually thwarted his murder plot for that night. He said, quote, I had the knife ready and everything, end quote.
God, he sounds like a freaking LARPer.
Now, 2 days after that post, Natalie wrapped up her shift at McDonald's and went home, where she immediately changed out of her work clothes and put on PJs. Shortly after cozying up for the night, Adam called. After that call, Natalie walked into her mom's room. Her name is Adele, obviously, a British woman named Adele, and told her that she was going out. Natalie then told her mom that she loved her, and that would be the last time her mom would see Natalie alive.
So sad.
When Natalie...
If I hear that, I think it's coming through. We have sirens happening.
They don't come to our house. They come to our neighborhood quite often, though. But
yeah, I don't know what that is. But I think it's all the old.
You know, the last time we heard sirens, they were going to our friend's house after the water birth of their child.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. No, that wasn't the last time we heard sirens. The last time I heard sirens.
We were recording.
No. It was the middle of the night, not too long ago.
Are we recording in the middle of the night?
No. We weren't while we were recording. Yeah, right. Go. You're right. Yeah, the last time we heard sirens while recording,
just pushed through
going to our
with our phones
house.
off on Do Not Disturb while they frantically called us.
Yep. And shout out Blair and Andrew. That was quite a night for them. And now they have lovely little crew around, and
we love him.
We love him. No, the last time we heard sirens, not the last time, but the crazy sirens, I heard them late at night, and it was a neighborhood right next to ours. Like there's our neighborhood, a street, that neighborhood.
The double homicide?
Yeah, double homicide.
Which we are going to tell you about.
Which is also unsolved. They have not caught anybody. And they just upped the reward. Did you see that?
Yeah, because
15,000, I think.
From an insider.
Which I was like, that's kind of low.
They have absolutely no idea how this person got out of that house.
Yep.
To the point where this guy was house. Like, he could still be in there. So anyway.
Crazy. All right.
Okay.
I forgot what we were talking about. I think we should pause for a second because I have been out of drink for about
you
20
drank that
minutes.
so fast.
It's really
like a
good.
Hogwarts student.
Katie, you don't know this about me.
And Hogsmeade for the first time.
Cream soda, besides Dr. Pepper, is one of my Achilles heels. Like, I don't buy it. I don't drink it. But if it's there, I'll drink a shit ton of it.
Well, it's upstairs.
Also, it is really good, actually. It tastes just like what you get at Universal.
Yeah.
Now for the Butterbeer.
All right. So we will pause it.
Yep.
Just to recap.
Yep.
Adam called Natalie. He's going to pick her up. She loves her mom, Adele. And that's the last time she will see her mom, Adele.
Bummer, Adele. Sorry. All right. You wanted to speak first, huh?
I literally just said before you said 1, 2, 3, I said, I got it.
Oh, well, I was
Wait, what kind of vodka goes in this? Real quick.
It is vanilla.
It is.
Son of a bitch. All right. We're back. That's all I was going to say. We have our refills and we're good to go. And we found out it's vanilla vodka.
I didn't need to find out. I knew it.
I could have sworn it was something else.
Now, when Natalie got into Adam's car that night, she had no way of knowing that his friend, Thomas, was hiding with a knife in the boot of the car, which, for the winners of the American Revolution, we call that the trunk.
The boot.
And as the couple drove, Natalie noticed that the boot warning light was on. And so she asked Adam if he would stop so they could check. Adam eventually did stop the car on Swanley Village Road. Natalie got out of the car to inspect the rear and was followed by Adam. The only thing is, before exiting the vehicle, Adam grabbed a multi-tool with a knife attachment. It was this knife that he used to stab Natalie in the neck 20 times.
Jeez. Is a multi-tool like a Swiss Army knife?
That's what I'm picturing. And I don't even think Septum Sempra would have done a more thorough job of hurting the infant.
You're such a nerd.
Natalie tried to run and escape the assault, but only made it about 150 meters away from the car. As she ran, Thomas, a goat charmer, if I've ever known one, Adam's friend, who by that point had climbed out of the boot, got into the driver's seat and spun the car around so that the injured Natalie could be seen in the headlights.
You threw that in right there at her murder.
If so you know what I mean when I say goat charmer.
You're telling the story of her murder, like the moment she's murdered, and I'm laughing in the background.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate to Azkaban with you.
Oh my gosh.
Now.
All right, so.
Yes.
They're outside of the car.
Correct.
This goat lover is
Thomas
stabbing her in the neck.
No, Adam is stabbing her, and the piece of crap Thomas gets out, and he gets in the car, and he turns it so that he can watch with the headlights on Natalie, his friend Thomas, the goat charmer. Adam's stabbing Natalie.
Oh, jeez. I didn't even realize. I was so distracted by the goat because you literally had just told me what a goat charmer was, which it probably was a mistake because I was just going to laugh through the whole part.
I'm sorry.
I didn't even realize there was a third, like Thomas was there.
He was hiding in the boot with a knife.
Gosh. And Thomas is who he was texting saying,
yes.
I'm going to do, what was it, JC? Tonight,
yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So Thomas watches this whole thing go down.
Yes.
Watches
Adam
just brutally murder this girl.
Who thinks she's like.
With a small knife.
I know.
Like, that's the. All right. I know knives obviously are very dangerous. They can do a lot of a lot of damage. But damn it, people, fucking just go for the hands. You don't have to worry about anything else on them. Like if somebody's coming out with your knife, just you might get cut up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
go for their hands.
But I wonder at what point.
And then, and also for
does
a
shock play a
lady
role?
being attacked by a man, like, yeah, go for the hands and then kick them in the balls and freaking, I don't know. It's
Well, she
the
tried.
knife thing, like being murdered by a knife. That's gotta be the worst way to go. Cause I just like, if you'd be like rising up to heaven and just be like, damn it, I could have handled that differently.
I don't know. I think a Dementor's kiss would be worse.
Oh my gosh. All right. Anyway, go on.
Okay. In the end, Natalie, lying bleeding out on the side of the road, asked Adam if she could just have her phone so that she could talk to her mom, Adele, one last time. To which Adam grabbed Natalie's phone and threw it where he knew the dying woman could never reach.
What a piece of garbage.
Yes. Then he and Thomas drove away. It wouldn't be long until some people passing by found Natalie's body. But by 11:30 p.m., when the paramedics had arrived, Natalie was already behind the veil, dead. After leaving the murder scene of his girlfriend, Adam and Thomas met up with other friends, where they joked about Adam having some banknotes, just money, that were stained with Natalie's blood.
How old are these people?
Adam was 23.
How old is Thomas?
I don't know how old Thomas was. Natalie was 24.
Who cares? All right, so they're early 20s to mid 20s. Just
with,
I mean,
literally their entire lives in front of them.
Yeah, and the guy's obviously a psycho. To just be like hell-bent on murder of some sort. But what year was this?
This is 2012.
Oh man, that is so crazy. Like such an early time of social media to feel like safe to post the things that Adam posted on social media is nuts. Like I don't.
What's crazy is...
I don't think the murderers are... Well, some of them are. But I don't think you really see that much anymore.
While on trial, he was asked about that one specific post where he was like, I might commit murder, who knows, or whatever he said. And seems like everybody's murdering or whatever. And he just confidently was like, no, it felt like people were getting away with murder all over the place. And that's why he posted what he posted.
Which is such another crazy light on the early effects of social media, of this like connected with, or of the internet in general, especially when the internet started becoming what we know it is now, which is around then, of this like finding out the news of what's happening everywhere. So it did feel like everybody was getting murdered.
You don't get a full story
with it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It has to fit in however many characters Twitter would allow you. 130?
Yeah.
Now, the act of murder is so egregious, some might say it has the potential of ripping the perpetrator's soul apart. But whatever was left of Adam's soul must have felt some kind of guilt or at least some fear at getting caught, because in the early morning hours, Adam simply walked into the local police station, still covered in blood, and stated, quote, I think I've killed someone, end quote.
Was he, did you see anything, whether he was drunk, high on drugs?
Nothing referenced being under the influence.
Wow. Which could have just been like the amount of adrenaline and stuff he felt that made him be able to go out in the night and party with his friends.
I don't even know if they had to party. I literally think they got together.
He went out with his friends and then boasted in jest that, you know, like the blood's still on the money. And wake up the next day and be like, oh.
I don't even think he went to sleep. It was like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning that he walked into the police station. I think he was like, this is as far as my plan took me. And now I've got to turn myself in. Like, what else do I do? Like, her mom knows she was with me. Like,
right. Yeah.
I'm
because I was also
like a crashing wall of realization that, like,
yeah.
This is actually real life, Adam.
Yeah.
And you just killed somebody, and there are going to be people looking for you.
Well, even going through the emotions of, is there any way I could get away with this? Well, Mom knows, Thomas knows. We were telling other people about it.
It's on my Twitter.
As soon as anybody questions anything, the light's right on me.
Now, at his trial, Adam, too, would claim to have been acting in self-defense.
Oh, my gosh.
He told the court that Natalie was manipulating him, stalking him, and harassing him. He said that on July 13th, which would have been 4 days after the couple had had unprotected sex in a car, Natalie had texted him stating that she was pregnant. But just like with Bishop...
Whoa, all right. I kind of forgot about that part.
Yeah, except you don't know you're pregnant 4 days after.
Yeah, but did she just send him into a murderous rage by lying to him to try and like hook him forever?
I didn't find anything verifying that text was sent. And I could very much imagine two people who have a little mishap joking. Like, what if I'm pregnant?
What if I'm pregnant? Wait, do it in an English accent.
What if I'm pregnant,
well, what
governor?
If I'm pregnant, governor?
Yes.
That's but I don't know. Devil's advocate. What if she did? Not excusing what he did, but goddamn, it's be like earth-shattering news.
To find out your girlfriend is pregnant with your child after dating for 2 months.
If it's a girl that like you could never ever like, it was that one time like I was just horny and wanted to do it, like, but outside of that one time, I'm never going to do it again. I regretted it immediately. To find out, oh, you're going to keep this kid, aren't you? I don't know. Not excuse. Obviously, you should never murder someone because of those reasons. But just going into the mind thought of someone that could commit murder, like how did they do that? Maybe something like that could drive you to it. Well, but at the same time, social media posting, all that, he's just a psycho, I'm pretty sure.
Just like with Carl Bishop, this plea of self-defense would fall on muffliatoed ears.
Okay, so
Adam was found guilty and sentenced to life with a minimum of 26 years to be served.
Did they charge Thomas with anything?
His friend Thomas, however, was acquitted. He had been charged as well under something in the UK called joint enterprise. But after the trial, Thomas walked out a free man.
I like the name of that, joint enterprise. Like, we had this plan together. Yep. I wasn't the main participant of the illegal act, but I was part of it.
Yes.
Which we would call
an accomplice.
An accomplice. Guilty by association. What would you, there's an actual like
I don't know.
Like when you aid in
a rackspert has gone into my brain because I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the Butterbeer. The Butterbeer.
Yo, give us a pint of some Butterbeer, please.
Can I get some Butterbeer over here?
If a New Yorker went to Hogsmeade, yo, can I get some Butterbeer and some of that fire whiskey?
Tinder, we need more Butterbeer over here.
Do you got some pizza? Do you have any pies? And then,
you're doing it like an English New Yorker accent.
And the bartender's like, do you want shepherd's pie? Nah, I want a New York slice.
Want a New York slice.
Okay. Back to the story.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh?
Yeah, do listen to that.
I have referred to knife crime or the epidemic of knife crime. And in the UK, it is absolutely a real thing of concern. Crimes involving knives are disproportionately higher compared to other crimes and disproportionately growing faster as compared to other crimes. In 2017 and 2018, when violent knife crime hit its peak, 4,500 of the offenses involving a knife were committed by individuals under the age of 18. And just because there have been fewer knife crimes in recent years, the problem still exists. In 2023, 41% of homicides were stabbing deaths. Now, this epidemic of knife crime was deemed so much of an issue by the Home Office, which in the UK is a governmental department responsible for internal security, policing, immigration, and counterterrorism, among other things. They allocated £130 million in 2023 to address knife and violent crimes. And Netflix recently released a movie called Adolescence, which had a plot that explored possible explanations for why these knife killings perpetrated by young people have become so prominent. It touched on things like misunderstood masculinity, as well as a culture in which cruel treatment is acceptable within the use of social media and therefore seems to transcend into actual areas of life. In 2022, a team of 4 people, these are their last names, Brown, Green, Harino Rapol, and Paddock, from the Center of Forensic and Family Psychology at the University of Nottingham Medical School, looked at all of the existing research on knife crime to gather information about offender characteristics and gather information about the effective interventions in order to come up with some recommendations. Do you want to know what they recommended?
Sure. What did these?
The first 2 are pretty spot on, in my opinion.
Okay.
Recognize the need for male role models when there is an absence of a positive father figure.
Go figure.
Number 2, emphasize the value of good parenting, both mothers and fathers, and support the important role of raising children.
Wow.
Kids committing knife crimes could probably benefit from a strong father figure and a 2-parent household, is what I take from that.
Yeah. That's, I mean, across the board, any kids growing up doing criminal acts, that is what they lack.
Yes. They went on
There's going to be some outliers, always. There's going to be some Columbine kids in there every now and then where they do have good parents and for whatever reason they do something atrocious. But for the most part, all of them have a very similar story when it comes to their parents or lack of parents or lack of one of the parents.
They went on to recommend that they need mentoring schemes and youth clubs, of which need to be underpinned by long-term funding. They need to raise awareness and educate parents about the influence of the internet and the risks posed by violent media and violent social networks. They need to change the focus of interventions away from crime-related education and deterrence and provide young people who are specifically at risk with particular support in terms of housing, employment, education, mental health, conflict resolution, and social skills. And local authorities need to take responsibility for every young person not in school, as they are the most at risk. So like dropouts. Yeah. I like to call them street youths, which isn't going to be accepted by the mass of listeners.
Bunch of street youths just stole my tires off my car.
And address things like foster care families. And certain people need intensive supervision and support and offer multi-systemic therapy to individuals at risk.
I mean, they're pointing out all the things.
No, they basically say you need a 2-parent household with a strong father figure And when we don't have that, society needs to step in and fill that void. I think the issue is society goes, no, let's just celebrate that you have a mom. And then we'll respond when you run amok.
Well, they bring out like some good points of things that are certainly true as far as, growing up a certain way and your environment basically takes over and you're going to think a certain way. But what's needed to change that is so much greater than anything proposed because it goes into, okay, this is where the government can actually make a difference. They can pump money into these, we have the same problem in America. You could, where, we have our ghettos and we've got our poor cities and there's, instead of spending so much money on so much other bullshit that they do, there could be money placed to try and change the environments of these cities and these areas so that these kids have an actual chance as opposed to what we would see their environment growing up and say, that kid has no chance.
Right. Well, as an American, it seems like the question is specific to knife crime. Why knives as a tool for violence? But it really has to be considered in context, which you tried to allude to in the first 5 seconds of the episode. The United Kingdom has some of the strictest gun control laws in the world. Handguns have been banned since 1997.
Their cops don't even carry guns.
He just steals my thunder. Firearms ownership is heavily regulated, and police do not even routinely carry firearms except for specialized officers in specific circumstances. So the knife simply is perhaps the easiest weapon, which can cause significant injury. It's not the knife we need to understand. It's the underlying human conditions, and increases in crime committed by younger offenders is not limited to the UK. Do you want to talk about guns real quick, or can I give you some WHO?
I wouldn't even talk about guns so much. I think it's the same problem despite the weapon.
Correct.
What's the underlying problem then? If no matter what, they're finding a weapon to use, you can't take all the knives, obviously. You need knives for regular day, everyday life. What would
Gordon Ramsay cook with?
What would he cook his salmon with?
Fillet of fish. With a butter knife? I don't think so.
And if it's not knives, there will be something else. That all points to that there is this mental illness. And what does that mean? Mental illness. Well, what has changed in society to where we have all these acts that just really seem like they're ramping up as opposed to back in the day. And you also have to, in my opinion, take into consideration that, there's always been kids doing bad things. There's always been people doing bad things. We just haven't had access to all the information.
Maybe.
So it doesn't just feel like the whole world is pouring in on this back in the day as it does now. But I do think it is ramping up. I actually think the stats, which they've been holding, actually do show that it's ramping up. And that is because we are adapting to this new world of social media, and that is changing the course. So in my opinion, I know you're ready to go on the next thing. I'm just going to say this, that in my opinion, I really do think we're there's to everything new, there's this balancing out period. And I think there will be we'll learn to live with this and become normal again.
Okay. So I wasn't even going to say this. I'm about to go into some World Health Organization statistics about violent crime among young people. But I teach history, and to be very honest, 6,000 years of human history documented is full of just cruelty from one human to the next. Yeah. So I'm going to give you
as bad now.
I'm going to
it
give
used
you
to be.
some statistics, but to be honest, it's a human condition
Yeah.
where we're just really awful to other humans.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you some stuff that's going to make you go, the world. No, for thousands upon thousands of years, we have found different ways to kill each other effectively so that we can garner more power, prestige, status, whatever. And that's history. So there you have it. Human beings are awful. But according to the World Health Organization, worldwide, about 193,000 homicides occur among youth. That will be 15 to 29-year-olds every single year, which accounts for 40% of the total number of homicides globally every year. Homicide is among the leading
40%?
between 15 to 29-year-olds. Homicide is among the leading cause of death in people aged 15 to 29-year-olds, and the vast majority of homicides involve male victims. For each young person killed, many more sustain injuries requiring hospital treatment, which just supports this notion that unless called to a higher power or regulated by strict law, human beings are going to hurt and kill human beings. The trend of young people acting through violence, often resulting in death, seems to be present in many countries across the globe, not just the UK. And surprising ones. Sweden is one of the countries, which is my homeland, where this youth homicide is just incredibly prominent. So there it is.
Well, I've got to give credit to Joe Rogan for this thought, because he says it all the time, and I completely agree with it. Is if you think about how we began and like as hunters and gatherers, like I think in us we were created in a way that you have testosterone. Like for men, they have testosterone because they had to go out and they had to face very fearful situations in order to let everybody else live, because they had to go and hunt and they had to, create an environment for you to live. And now, so we have this coursing, the history of that, and the way we were created, we have it coursing through our blood still, and our brains are firing off all these chemicals that are more conducive to a harsh environment.
Mm-hmm.
And now we don't have the harsh environment. So I think most people adapt to that, but I think you're going to have a good percentage of people that don't, and for whatever reason they can't control this like need to, whereas it would have been controlled before. In an environment where there is no technology, it would have been controlled in the sense of, hey, we're going for a hunt, let's go. Or, hey, we're going to war, we need to defend our families. They no longer have that. And so, but for some reason in them, they didn't get the luck of adapting to the environment, and their brain's still firing a certain way. So they go out and they create this thing where they're like, I need to murder somebody.
If you think of it in terms of survival of the fittest, it was those bloodlines, those lineages who were ready to fight to the death that would have survived till this point. So those characteristics would exist in that multi-generational offspring that now have nowhere to place that inherent desire and inherent skill set.
Yeah.
It's like this notion where we've come to live such sedated lives that we get to navel gaze, which is like turn in on ourselves and be like, I'm so sad, I'm so upset, where even 100 years ago, you don't have time to be sad. You don't have time to be upset. And so now you're a person who has this desire and this ability to conquer in a world where that isn't championed among men, because it's a confused idea about masculinity, which I watched Adolescence, and I went into it like with very preconceived notions about how they are depicting specific people And one of the things they talked about was this confusion about masculinity. Like boys don't know how to show that they're masculine anymore. And so that is exhibited in conquering, at least for this one character, killing this girl who basically like demeaned him via social media, which is an entire different conversation, which is Mike Tyson said it best. You've all got too used to saying whatever you want on the internet without getting punched in the face. We need more punches to the face so people can learn what's appropriate and what's not. And we just don't have it anymore.
Exactly. Well, and that's, I mean, it's another, look, I'm pro Second Amendment. I think there's a reason it's there, and I think it's very obvious. And if you don't want to listen to us after I say that it's where I stand. I do think if everybody was walking around with a gun in their pocket, that we'd have very, very much fewer just like spontaneous rages.
Yeah, but people you want to know why that is?
People would check themselves because they'd be like, I got a gun. Oh, wait, he's got a gun too.
I'm also just going to double down. The same people who are pro Second Amendment are also pro responsible choices. They're not going into places going, I'm exerting my Second Amendment rights. No. They're going in saying, I know there are people out here suffering from mental illness, angry at the world, and I need to be able to protect my family. So this whole conversation about violent crime among has nothing to do with to me, the Second Amendment is separate because that's one day you might need to take on an abusive government.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole point of it. But I think that's the one thing America got right with that amendment and having it. And I think that's why we're still around and still fighting to have that right so that we can still be around with the freedoms we have. Because you look at a country like Britain now and how it's just like,
and people are being arrested for posting
I am worried about Britain right now.
Yeah,
I am very worried about them. And I think it kind of starts with that, like a government needs to be a little bit afraid of their people.
Yeah, and if really you can't, agreed.
And if they're not, either they're going to become afraid of them or the people will succumb and be afraid of the government. All of them. Anyway, we went on a
now
rabbit hole there.
I have my own ideas as to why there is an increase in violent crime among younger people. And my explanation involves a lack of accountability and consequences in a world where reality is utterly distorted by social media. But perfectly paired with is not known for its sociological analysis of global trends in crime and or our political commentary.
Absolutely not. If anything, we are we aren't comedians, but we're taking a more lighthearted approach on these stories. And
I will say what we are known for is our
she's gonna throw down
outros. So let's skip to the good part.
All right, get in your Harry Potter licks while you can here.
Robert Knox passed before he could even watch himself as Marcus Belby. His mom would recall how all he wanted was to get dressed up in a nice suit and walk the red carpet with the other actors. Unfortunately, Robert never got the chance, and Natalie was taken from her family and her potential far too soon. But before we sink beneath the anguish of these two young lives lost, let's remember what Dumbledore said in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Spoken as a reminder to focus on the living and those alive in most need of love. Quote, "Do not pity the dead, Harry. Pity the living. And above all, those who live without love." End quote. And maybe if more people did that, we might see less violent knife crime.